Hey everyone, and welcome. So, if you're in business or management school, you've probably heard the acronym MIS thrown around a lot. It can sound a little technical, a little dry, but honestly, it's one of the most powerful tools any modern company has. And if you've got exams coming up, you've got to get your head around this. So, today we're going to demystify it, break it all down, and make sure you walk away with a super solid understanding. Let's get into it.
Okay, so right off the bat, what is a management information system? At its heart, it's a computer-based system with one really important job: to process raw data and transform it into useful information. That information then gets sent out to help with everything, from running the daily operations to making those big, company-shaping decisions. It's all about taking a mountain of raw data, just noise really, and turning it into a clear signal you can actually use. Here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to crack open the name itself: management, information, and system. Then we'll dive into the 5 main types of MIS you'll actually see out in the wild. After that, we'll cover the key features and, more importantly, the benefits. And to wrap it all up, we'll walk through exactly how these systems get built. Let's jump right in. I've always found that the best way to really get a handle on a complex idea is just to break it down into its simplest parts. And lucky for us, the name Management Information System gives us the perfect roadmap. So let's look at those 3 core concepts one by one. First up, we've got the M for management. And this is the whole point, right? This isn't just about fancy tech for the sake of tech. It's a tool specifically designed to help the people who are actually running the show. But what do we really mean by management here? So, management is really just about using all your resources, your people, your money, your equipment, to hit your company's goals. And MIS is built to support every single one of those functions. Whether a manager is planning next year's budget, organizing teams for a big new project, or just controlling the day-to-day to make sure everything's on track, the MIS is what feeds them the info they need to do their job right. All right, next up is the I for information. If management is the why behind the system, information is the what. It is the absolute lifeblood of an MIS, and getting the difference between simple data and true information is absolutely key. Now this right here is such a critical distinction. Data is just raw facts and figures. A long list of last month's sales numbers, that's data. Information is what you get after you process that data, organize it, and give it context. So, a report showing sales trends by region, that's information, and that's what a manager can actually use to make a smart decision. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the S for system. This is the how. It's the framework, the engine that takes all that raw data, churns it into useful information, and gets it into the hands of management. It's what makes the whole thing work.
So, what is a system? It's just a bunch of different parts that are all linked together to achieve a specific goal. And the analogy here is perfect. Think about the human body. Your heart, lungs, and brain are all separate parts, right? But they're all connected, all working together for one main objective: keeping you alive. And MIS is the exact same idea. Lots of different components, all working in harmony.
Okay, so we've broken down the name, we get the theory. Now, let's see how this stuff actually works in the real world. Because an MIS isn't a single one-size-fits-all thing. It's more like a toolbox, and different levels of management need different tools for the job. Let's check out the 5 essential types. This gives us a great bird's eye view of the 5 main categories. You can see we've got systems for high-level strategy, for tough decisions, for sharing knowledge, for handling all the daily transactions, and even for just boosting productivity in the office. We're going to break down each one. Let's start from the top down. The Executive Support System, or ESS, is for the C-suite, the CEO, the VPs. It gives them that 30,000-foot view of the business to help make huge strategic calls, like, should we expand into Europe? Then you have the Decision Support System, or DSS. Think of this as a powerful what-if calculator for middle managers. It helps them figure out the best course of action when the outcome isn't clear, like modeling how a price cut might impact profits. And a Knowledge Management System, that's basically the company's shared brain, a central place to store and share expertise, so valuable knowledge doesn't just walk out the door when someone retires. Now for the systems that are the real bedrock of the company. A Transaction Processing System, or TPS, is the workhorse. It handles all the repetitive, high-volume stuff that has to be done right every single time. Payroll, sales, inventory, you name it.
And finally, the office automation system. I mean, this is the stuff you and I use every day. We're talking about Microsoft Office, Google Workspace, all the tools designed to make each of us more productive. So, we know what an MIS is, and we know the different flavors it comes in. But why are they so critical? Why does every organization need one? Let's dig into the core characteristics of a good MIS and the massive benefits that come with it. So, not just any old software can be called an MIS. It has to have these key features. For one, it has to be built around a common database. This is huge. It ensures everyone is working from the same set of facts, a single source of truth. And maybe most importantly, it has to be both management-oriented and management-directed. That means the system is built for managers, and that managers are the ones who lead its design. That's how you make sure it solves real-world problems. And when a system is built the right way, the payoff is enormous. Because all your data is easy to get to and analyze, managers can make way quicker, more confident decisions. That directly helps them solve problems faster, which in turn leads to some serious cost savings and productivity boosts. At the end of the day, a good MIS just gives the whole organization more control and a much clearer vision for the future. All right, for a final section, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at how these massive systems are actually built from scratch. Now pay close attention here because the development cycle is a classic exam topic. It's the structured process that takes an MIS from just an idea to a fully functioning reality. This diagram lays it out perfectly. It's a 5-step cycle that starts with investigating the problem and goes all the way through to installation. And see that circular arrow? It's a loop for a reason. This is not a one-and-done project. Systems always need to be maintained and updated so the cycle can always begin again. So let's just run through those 5 steps clearly before we detail them. You've got the preliminary investigation, then requirement analysis, systems design, procurement, and finally, implementation or installation. The first phase is all about doing your homework. In the preliminary investigation, you figure out the exact problem you're trying to solve, you define the scope of the project, and you see if it's even worth the cost. Then, in requirements analysis, and this is so important, you go talk to the actual people who are going to use the system. You identify their needs, their frustrations, everything you need to know to design something they'll actually want to use. Phase 2 is where the system starts to become real. In systems design, you're the architect, drawing up the blueprints for how data will flow. Procurement is basically the shopping trip. You go out and get all the necessary hardware and software. And finally, implementation is go time. This is where you actually develop the application, test the heck out of it, train all the users, and set up a plan to maintain it for the long haul. So, at the end of the day, an MIS is really the nerve center of a company, turning floods of data into intelligent action. But this brings us to one final, really critical question. The entire system, everything we've talked about, is built on a foundation of data. It's only as good as the data you feed it. So in our modern world, an age of misinformation, how can an organization be absolutely sure that its core systems are telling the truth? That's a huge challenge and something for every future manager to think about. Thanks so much for watching.